Okay, so we're up to Illusionist cards from partner Mistveil, which means Enigma. I think Enigma is probably the popular vote for best hero of the set, but I think all three are super strong in their own right? They all have fun, interesting mechanics that sort of help mediate some of the problems of their predecessors without, unfortunately, crossing over. I think Enigma and Zen definitely have a bit better, amount of cards that feed in to the other heroes, but yeah. We've seen what Enigma can do. Enigma's quite strong. You build attack and defense at the same time, which is just fantastic. If you can get the ball rolling, you're kind of unstoppable. So we have your first spectral shield attack each turn, costs 1 less to activate, and then once per turn, instant, pay 3, create a spectral shield token with a +1 counter, which feeds perfectly nicely into the weapon, which is actually Illusionist, right? And furthers the game plan of all Illusionists. Although once, obviously, Enigma L's, then unfortunately it goes with it. And I'm curious if they'll, sort of print another effect, because this is definitely a really cool archetype, right? You have Phantasm and now you have Ward. You sort of had it with the first Luminaris, but the way this is sort of written, I think I like it a lot more. To me, it's definitely the final concoction that I think really hits the nail on the head. Now, before we actually enter cards, we should probably talk about New Moon. So New Moon is interesting. I kind of would have liked it better if this was the main set Enigma, and then the other one was Blitz, right? I mean, the art, the border, that's all fantastic, but I really like the effect, right? All equipment you have has cloaked. So it all starts face down, meaning you can really more strategically control it. Control the ward, control it popping, and save it for the proper opportune moment. Then you have instant, pay 3, chi, turn target face down equipment you have equipped face up. If it has ward, create 3 spectral shield tokens. Now the big difference between this and current Enigma is obviously once you run out of equipment, you run out of the ability to use this, but it's just really nicely balanced, right? I don't think this is a insane Blitz hero. I don't think this is a testing ground or anything like that. I just think it's a real fun alternative to Enigma, and both I would have been happy to have in the actual set, right? They could have done 6 versions of heroes, and I probably would have liked them all. But yeah, it's Blitz. It's going to be fun, right? It's a very, very nice effect, yeah. I like Cloaked. I like Cloaked in this scenario versus everything else, because again, opponent doesn't know what exactly you're running, and it works really well with Illusionist and Ward and, saving equipment. So yeah, both Enigmas stand out to me. Meridian Pathway. Pay 3, chi, and you may play auras this turn as though they were instant. So this has a lot of versatile uses because all auras, not just Illusionist. So there are some with go again, so you can gain action points off of this, but also it allows you to string things together a lot more easily. And also play auras at the end of your opponent's turn to make sure they don't get popped, right? Could be quite nice. Or put something into play to prevent something you want to save from getting popped. And then also as whenever you pitch a chi, you may have this get Ward 3 until the end of turn. Again, put something in you like and use this to protect what's on board. Again, I love all the L's of the set. Heirloom of Rabbit Hide. Again, this whole 1 life mechanic for 4 Ward. Need a little bit more, but Ward, in Enigma is definitely more powerful than just block in New. Truth Retold. Instant, turn this face up, pay 1, put an aura from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. There are so many cards that you'd want to recycle to get just insane value. So Truth Retold is definitely interesting. I'm very curious overall which equipment head is going to be run, but I can definitely see this having its uses. Uphold Tradition. Again, a fantastic common item, right? Instant, pay 1, turn his face up, put a +1 counter on an aura you control with Ward, which feeds again directly into Cosmos because it has that second effect. Your aura attacks with 1 or more counter, yet go again, meaning you can automatically give something at the cost of 1 and once used a counter so that it has go again for your turn, which comboed with some of the really strong Ward cards is just a dream come true for a combo lover like me. Manifestations of Miragai. This enters the arena with 2 counters, or if Chi was pitched to play this, said it enters with 4. It's Ward X, where X is the number of counters on it, meaning if you have 2 counters on it, it has Ward 2, plus those 2 counters, meaning that through Cosmos, it swings for 4 damage. Now, it does have a heavy cost to it, sure, but it's instant, and again, it has this nice snowballing effect if you can start really piling the counters on it, or, again, it's just an aura that automatically has go again, and could serve as a nice big bubble. But, detriment, right? If this is the only thing on board, a little prick would be enough to pop it. That would feel very wasteful. Sacred Arts, Immortal, Lunar Shrine. Create 2 Spectral Shields, put counters on each aura with ward you control and transcend. This is just another lovely card. If you have a big board, it's fantastic. If you have no board, it's still fantastic because you have tons of uses for even just 2 Spectral Shield tokens with counters. I don't think any of the Sacred Arts, though, you really play if you haven't met this whole criteria of playing another blue card this turn. They feel like you definitely save them just because they are so powerful if you get all 3 effects off, but some of them still have nice enough effects. Again, if you have a big board, you know, just taking the +1 counters is definitely nice enough as Enigma. And again, in new, just taking a Fang Strike and Slither could also be super powerful. 3 Visits, another wonderful combo card. Ward X, where X is 3 times the number of blue cards you pitch this turn. So through Cosmos, this is basically a 4 cost, 3 times the power of Final Act. Obviously, on your opponent's turn, if you're not pitching to defend, this has absolutely no defense value, so I assume it just gets popped automatically if you have nothing else. I'm curious how that works with Ward 0. Does it still count as Ward 0, or does it not have Ward if Ward is equal to 0? I have to look through the what was it, Rule Revise, right? That came out. It's probably mentioned there. But yeah, it's super snowballing. Again, like Manifestations, you can do wonderful things with this. You can definitely build a combo build. Again, instant, right? So as long as you get a counter on it, you can put it in, you can swing with it, and you can swing with something else. Fantastic. Moon Chakra, again, the Transcend mechanic, but this one's a little bit better, right? Because the next time you'd be dealt damage this turn, prevent 3 of that damage. If you Transcended, instead prevent 5, right? 3 prevention is still nice, again, protecting all your ward equipment. 0 cost, instant, fantastic. But if you meet that criteria of Transcending, you know, maybe putting some other stuff into play, using some of the other abilities that we're seeing with Enigma, there's definitely a lot to do on your opponent's turn, then you prevent 5, and that is pretty nice, right? Moon Chakra being 1 and 3, still nice and useful. So this is probably the best chakra, at least the one I like most. The Tiger one is definitely nice and statted, fine, but I think there's some easier ways to just pump Tigers overall. There's just so many new Tiger cards that feed well with Zen, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Haze Shelter. Ward X, where X is 4 if you pitched a blue card this turn, otherwise it's 1. So again, if you pitch on your opponent's turn, then it gets 4 ward. If it's your turn and you've pitched a blue before you do anything with it, it has 4 ward, otherwise just ward 1, nice enough. 2 cost is kind of a bit of a letdown with it, right? If it was switched between like 4 and 2, and that way, you know, on your opponent's turn, if you don't have anything to do, it's still nice. But then we have 3 and 1, and then lastly 2 and 1. So yeah, it might see use, it might not see use. There's a lot of stuff for you to pick between, and I think there are just overall some better cards to run. Waning Vengeance. When this leaves the arena, if you've pitched a blue card this turn, create a Spectral Shield token. Again, fantastic, instant. I should also, you know, probably mention that. All the Mystic auras are instant for whatever reason, right? I know the equipment obviously gives your auras instant, but just having these as instant, again, to be able to save something powerful seems super strong to me. So Waning Vengeance, right? You put it in play, you on your opponent's turn to protect something, to pop this, and you benefit a Spectral Shield from it. If you've pitched a blue to play it, that, yeah, seems super strong. Waxing Spectre. If you pitched a blue card this turn, this enters with a 1 counter on it, or you can reread it as this enters with Go Again, thanks to the weapon, and Ward 3. So I think this is probably the nicest one, right? Again, you want to run blues, and then these payoff cards, all the Transcend cards are blue, all Chi is blue, so it's not that hard of an ask. Of course, then we have Cosmos, fantastic weapon. I don't like the star for Zen, but the Beckoning Mistblades in this are absolutely fantastic. They do wonderful things and open up lots of fun different builds. 10,000 Year Reunion. This is weird to me, right? So it's an 8 cost that you may remove 3 counters from among auras you control rather than pay the card's cost. I kind of feel like just a 1-for-1 or maybe a 2-for-1, right? So every counter is a 2 cost reduction. Could have been good enough, but 3 counters to put a 8 cost. Why that matters is you have the Crown of Reflection. It might have some more words in there that allows you to destroy an aura and put another one in equal to or less than its cost, meaning that having this on board and having that crown allows you to cycle into absolutely anything you want, and you don't have to worry if they have Go Again, if they instance, right? Because the crown does it for you. So yeah, and then it's also just Ward 10. It's a huge block or a huge swing, all for the cost of 3 counters. And again, counter generation does not seem that difficult in Enigma. Rage Spectre. When this enters the arena, if you control no other Illusionist auras, gain 1 action point. During your turn, it's Ward 6, otherwise it's Ward 1, right? Still, super nice. If you get the action point off, it allows you just to steamroll your board building. If you don't, it's still a Ward 6 and Ward 1. So on your turn, it's a nice big swing. On your opponent's turn, you don't have to worry about, feeling a letdown in terms of value or, again, doing the calculations when you're taking damage to pop ward effectively. So I do like Rage Spectre, and it's blue. Relentless Coalescence. When this enters the arena, move any number of counters from auras you control onto this. And then once per turn instant, you may remove one counter to create a Spectral Shield token. So keep this around. It's instant, right? So you can put it whenever you want. It could be when your opponent's attacking and stuff is starting to pop. If you have counters on, you could throw this on board to take the counters off them, let them pop, and not worry about it, right? That is just so efficient. And then, of course, you have every turn, if it has counters on it, you can either, take them off so that it loses damage, right? To create Spectral Shields. Spectral Shields feed into so many other things. Or you can leave the counters on it and just use this as again, consolidation, as a way to bypass destruction to make sure you keep all the counters you have built up. So yeah, it's a fantastic card. Astral Etching. Put 3 counters on target aura with ward you control. If you control Spectral Shield, you may play this as though it were instant. 1 instant, 3 counters. Need I say more? When you have cards like 10,000 Year Reunion and this in itself. Yeah, counter generation is going to be super powerful. Shimmer is going to be super powerful. All this is just seeming super powerful. Essence of Ancestry Body. When this leaves the arena, if you control no illusion stories, next time you'd be dealt damage by a red source prevented. If you can get these off in a timely manner, that's just fantastic, right? I mean, obviously you get the choice of popping them too. So if there's overflow damage, that could work really well. It's just, what color do you pick? You'd have to really understand your matchups. And we love techie cards because it really obviously pays off the more higher up you go in the competitive level. So fantastic cards. Haunting Spectre. When this leaves the arena, create a Spectral Shield token. Then if you control no other illusion stories, put a counter on it. So this gets popped. You get Spectral Shield. If you have nothing else, then you have Spectral Shield and a counter. Again, there's just fantastic ways to rebuild a board, maintain a board, and start steamrolling with a board. You have so many different outs. Sigil of Solitude at the start of your turn. If you control another Illusionist aura, destroy this. So again, feed into it. If this has counters, or it's just ward 4. It has its uses, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of just a pack filler common. Single-Minded Determination. When this enters the arena, if you control no other Illusionist auras, put 3 counters on it. Again, you're either getting something with ward 2, with 3 block, or you're getting something with counters to start using Cosmos. Solitary Companion. When this enters the arena, if you control no other Illusionist auras, create a Spectral Shield token. 0 for 3, or 0 for 3 and a 1 if you have nothing. Again, just wonderful ways to start building momentum as Enigma. Spectral Manifestation. Create a Spectral Shield token. Then, again, if you control no other auras, put 3+1 counters on it. Now, an important distinction that I'm not actually making, right, is these say no Illusionist aura. And there are some wonderful auras that you can actually run in this style of build, even though they don't have ward, because you've got, the instant effect, you've got all these other ways to synergize with it, right? Chain of Emeralds is a really fun one, especially in Mystic matchups, because you can just name something like Chi and take out that huge benefits, right? That huge buff. So there's definitely some viable other picks, right? So I do definitely like that card. Then we have Vengeful Apparition. When it leaves the arena, if you control no illusion auras, you may play your next aura with 2 or less this turn as though it were instants. If you do, it enters with a +1 counter. So again, more benefit just to rebuild what you've lost, and that's kind of scary. Spectral Shield, alternative, and then, well, it's in the expansion slot, so we might as well do it because it's illusion as well. Fortunately, I was wrong, right? The numbers didn't lie because it could have been light or draconic. I just, in all honesty, didn't think it was draconic. So this is not a lore card because it has no lore. This is something that they figured was, not maybe necessary, but would have been useful. And then Dromai went and LL'd. So yeah, it is just unfortunately a redundant expansion slot card, and maybe hints at, a new Dromai coming out. I think we're all sort of banking on the last set of the year being Arcane. Maybe she features in it, but LSS, they love their Illusionist. I think we'd kind of be sick of it if, she sneaks her way in to an Arcane set. But what can you do? So while it's under a permanent other than Miragai, that permanent has Phantasm. So lots of ways to make sure Miragai doesn't have Phantasm, because Miragai is definitely the linchpin of a lot of game plans. So yeah, sad to see. Wasted slot, in my opinion. Oh well. And of course, we've already talked about New Moon, so that is Illusionist. Again, powerful. They're all powerful in their own right. I do like Zen a little bit more. I think Zen has enough aggression to maybe beat over the board. But if Enigma, starts going, there's no stopping it. Again, everything you do is building attack and defense, and that's just super fantastic, right? Even if you pop stuff, you're not really doing damage to the life, right? So you're losing on that front anyway. Even if you clear the board, you're spending all your time and effort clearing the board. It's not like Spectre, where it's 1-for-1. You have to do as much damage as there is ward, and there is a ton of ways to build ward. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See ya.